from the northern battles, especially the Battle of Brandywine, you would read how their bare feet in the snow would leave trails of blood. But they didn't quit because they knew what they were fighting for, and they were willing to give their lives. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. We have to have that same commitment. We have to have that same determination. This is the Second American Revolution. And right now, give me a chance to get caught up on my notes. Right now, the only thing keeping us from winning that Second American Revolution is ourselves. And what I mean by that is, will we be intimidated out of this battle? Will we give up because it costs us something? Will we quit because that cost is great? If we can answer these questions in the affirmative, that we are not going to give up, I think we're about 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 election cycles from restoring America to what she was. But we have to. Because there are so many veterans in the room, I'll share with you an experience that I had on the campaign trail. We were at an Elks Lodge, my sister and I, and there was a veteran who, not a Republican, not a Democrat, he's an independent, not necessarily part of the Teaparty, because he thought they were extremists. But as he watched me on the campaign trail, again, like that server at the banquet, and like so many Americans, when they dismiss the media bias and listen to the message, they go, maybe I am. This gentleman, George, reached his hand across the table and he said, you cannot give up. Please keep going. And he shared with me how when he came back from deployment overseas, people would spit on him and they would curse him. But he said, that hurt, but I would continue. And I would march on home because I knew what I was fighting for. And I knew that the America I was fighting for was great, even if they were ignorant and did not. I took that shame because I knew, even if they didn't. He said, but what I see happening now, he said, that hurts the same. Because the men and women we elected to protect our country are the ones who are destroying it. He said it hurts the same. What their actions hurt just as much as when those ignorant people spit on me. He said, you cannot give up. And I share that message with you tonight. You cannot give up. You have amazing candidates. Now, I don't know if that's because Virginia's so big that by ratio, I mean, my state can fit in your pocket, or if that's because you guys are so successful at spreading the message. But you've got amazing candidates, whether it's in the state legislature or those who are rumored to run for U.S. Senate. Get behind the candidates that you want serving in Richmond and you want serving in D.C. Don't listen to the hype. My campaign is a perfect example. You know, I mean, we didn't have the organization. We could never take out a 40-year entrenched incumbent. But the difference was the Republican I was challenging was really a liberal. All those bills that you talked about, that our speakers talked about, cap and trade, all those constitutional violations, he supported them. We had no choice but to continue. So right now, make that pledge to yourself that you're going to get behind the candidate that you know is going to do what needs to be done in your state and national capital. And you can make that happen. These times require visionaries and leaders. What I mean by visionaries and leaders are visionaries are those who see how the impossible can become possible. And then they share that vision with the leaders. They cast that vision like Nathaniel Green did to the leaders who then take it into their community. They look beyond the hype. They look beyond what the so-called experts are saying is impossible to happen. And the visionaries and leaders make the impossible possible. Now I want to ask you one thing. I know that, you know, like Nathaniel Green, you fight, You get beat, you learn your lessons, but you get up and you fight again. Learn a lesson from my campaign in that after the primary, whoever your candidates end up being, make sure you unite. Make sure you unite. Because right now, in this battle of pundits, right now, they're trying to discredit the Tea Party movement. They're trying to say that your mistake was that you got behind flawed candidates like me and Sharon Angle. The reason why they're putting this out there is because they don't want you to see what really happened. You spoke. You said enough is enough. If the only thing we got out of my race is that incumbents are going to know you cannot compromise on constitutional principles or the people will have their way, then that's a great thing. But they're trying to say we as Republicans sacrificed that seat because you got behind flawed candidates. But this is why I want to say, look at this message. Because from what I know no one's announced, but you've got some great Senate candidates out there that you need to get behind after the primary. You guys are lucky. We didn't have that in Delaware. But in my race, or those races, whether it's Rand Paul and Rubio, or me and Sharon Angle, the common denominator is whether or not the establishment embraced them after the party. Whether or not the establishment got behind the candidate that the people chose. Now you look at, they're trying to say Sharon and I weren't experienced or whatever. Well, Mitch McConnell was saying don't vote for Rand, but the very next day he put his arm around him and said, this is our guy. If you can do that, if you can make sure that happens with the candidate that the people choose, we can win. Do not give up.
Yep.
We have a lot of issues that we need to fight for, and it's going to take a little while. But again, like I said, the only thing preventing ourselves from continuing, from winning, from having victory in the Second American Revolution is ourselves. So in conclusion, I want to ask you tonight to once again pledge, the way our founding fathers did, your lives, your fortunes, and your sacred honor, so that our children's grandchildren can enjoy the America that our founding fathers envisioned. God bless you, and God bless America.